So this is what I'm trying to protect the garden from. I'm not even over in the same bed, but I'm walking by because I'm going to show y'all step 3 and 4. But look at this. He has wrapped himself around the zinnia plants, okay? And slowly but surely, this is what they do. They eat holes in leaves. But look at him, y'all. Look at him. Just in welcome and wrapped himself on this zinnia like this today. So I wanted to share with you all because we have really started to clear out beds. We have 4 beds cleared out. We're starting to plant our fall flowers, vegetables, herbs. But today I want to share with you a bed that is completed. And then I also want to share with you, although we're going into the fall season, although a lot of times the pest pressure is less, we still have pests while we're going into that season, and you still may have them in the fall. But I want to share with you some of the things that we've planted in this particular bed, some of the things that I'm going to do to try to protect the smaller seedlings that we just planted. And then also, because we're in Georgia zone 8A, we're still in the 80s. I think today it was like 87. So I want to try to protect some of the more cold or cooler season vegetables from bolting. So I'm going to share with you all of the things that I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So if you're interested in seeing the growth of the fall garden for this season, or if you're interested in gardening tips, gardening inspiration, gardening ideas, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Now, if you're new to the way I prefer to plant my garden beds, whether they're raised beds, whether they're in-ground beds, or whether they're in containers, for the most part, I like to have vegetables, flowers, herbs all growing together. And so this is basically what we did in the fall garden. Some of these are items that I started from seed, like the lettuce that you see down in the front. Other things are starts. I want you to know it's okay to grow starts. They're already growing. And if you don't have time to start seeds, then definitely just grow. And so pick up some starts. Although we've started things like Johnny jump ups and pansies inside, I guess that particular day, these were way further along than what I have on the inside, and they were just beautiful. So we'll start right here in the front, because what we have are purple pansies, okay? So we have purple pansies. Pansies are a cool weather flower that grows great in the fall and also in the spring. I am really watching it here in Georgia because, again, we're still in the 80s, and sometimes when it's hot, they can start to get a little bit leggy. But if you stick with us till the end, I'll share with you how I'm going to try to protect some of the plants, like I said before, that are more prefer the cooler weather. Now, next we have some lettuce. Y'all, let me tell you, I can eat lettuce every single day. And so I love growing lettuce in the fall. I can literally come out here, pick and choose what I want, because this is not going to be the only place that we're going to plant lettuce right here. We're planting it on our um, patio. We're planting it in other raised beds. But I love these types of lettuces. These are lettuces you're not going to necessarily see in the store. And we have all different types that we're going to grow this fall. Okay, so right over here, I put a new orange thyme right here in the corner because we had some time, but it was starting to get real woody. And I've cut it back several times. And oftentimes I will switch out my herbs after about 2 to 3 seasons, especially when they're starting to get woody. You can keep them in your garden, but that's just what I prefer to do, just for a fresh start. I'm really interested in trying this orange thyme. Let me know if you've grown it before and how do you like it. But we're also growing, and I'll move right here. We're also growing English thyme in the garden. This is also a new plant that we have. And then we have just more purple pansies that are right here. And then this is what I was saying about sometimes when I see plants and they're further along, I just want to get them. But we still have little plants that we're going to put out. I promise y'all. Just stick with me and I'll share with you where we're going to put them at in the garden. But this was kohlrabi. And this was something that we grew in the spring garden, but I wanted to go ahead, hurry up and get this planted. Now we also have some snapdragons in the middle. These are going to get pretty tall, about 2 to 3 feet. So we'll have like a showcase in the middle. Then we'll have our kohlrabi. The zatar I actually started from seed over here in the corner. And then we have the hot and spicy oregano that is right here that I've divided and split several times and moved throughout the garden. I'm probably going to cut this back once again, and we'll see how that grows. And then I also have some turnips here. Now I have turnips in another part of the garden, but one thing that I try to do is I don't want to plant everything of one type in one bed. And I do this because just in case we have pest pressure in one bed, I can still be growing the same thing in another bed that the pest may not have touched. That happens a lot, y'all. I'm telling you, I can have a vegetable on one side that the pests don't touch, and then on a particular side, there they come trying to destroy. But make sure you stick with me because since this bed is pretty small, as far as the plants, they're pretty young. I want to share with you just some precautions that I do in my garden, just to try to mitigate the different pests. Now, what I'm going to do every day is come out here. I'm going to make sure that these plants stay moist, they don't dry out. Then I'm also going to be checking around the base of the plant, and I'm also going to be checking for pests pretty much over the next 7 to 10 days just to make sure that they're off to a good start. Now, what I will tell you is that the lettuce that we started from seed right here, we hardened those off because I started them inside. We hardened them off for about 7 to 10 days. It's starting to get cooler as far as the weather. And so now we're planting them out in the garden. Okay, so I wanted to mention real quick, all of our raised beds have it's on drip irrigation, which is seriously a game changer for me. This helps me out a lot. Although in the fall, you don't have to water as much as in the spring and summer, but it still helps. There were times that I was watering, y'all, for like 2 and 3 hours because when you do water, you want to water deeply. You don't want to do what shallow watering. So you may have to just stand there or put the hose, walk away, do something else so that it's getting down to the roots. But the very first thing that I did is I used some BT with a sprayer. This is what I have left because as I am starting to get ready to clear the beds out, I see a lot of cutworms. I still see hornworms because we grew tomatoes. I just see all type of worms. I still see those moths that are laying worms. So the first thing that I want to do whenever I am planting leafy greens is I want to come in and I want to put some BT on them. I had been looking at other plants that I've planted so far, and I'm noticing a little bit of worm activity. You'll start to see little holes in your greens. You do want to identify as much as possible. You want to identify the pest, but I pretty much knew what it was. So we mixed this in a sprayer that looks like this, if you all could see it. Mix it according to the instructions. And not only did I spray it on the leafy greens, on the lettuce, I sprayed it on the soil too. So just in case they uh, moving around or squirming around or whatever, they'll get it. BT is a naturally occurring bacteria that when they ingest it, it just kind of gets them from the inside out. And so you want to protect all of your hard earned work, y'all, when you're doing the gardens. And like I said, it's not to say that you're not going to have any pests, but if you, and it's not a one and done, so I can't spray this on here one time if I'm having pest problems and think, okay, that's it. You still need to come and check your garden, check under the leaves, check around the soil, especially if they're small seedlings, because you can have some of those worms seriously cut the just cut the plant off, like right at the soil level. I've seen it happen too many times before. And the next thing that I did, all of the white stuff that you see on here, it may not look nice now, y'all, but if you want to protect your small seedlings, there's some things that you have to do. And so I have what's called food grade diatomaceous earth that we sprinkle on here. You want to make sure that if you can, try not to do it when it's too windy, and then put on a mask, because it's very fine. It feels like glass to the pests when they go over it, but it could get into your lungs as well. So just protect yourself when you are applying this. They also have like this little sprayer. I don't necessarily use that, but they have it sometimes in the packages. This is one of the bigger packages, so they didn't have it in here, but they sometimes have it where you can kind of, it's like a duster. That's what it is. It's a duster, and you could put it in there and just squeeze it, and it'll like spray the diatomaceous earth off in a dust. But I just get a little bit in my hand, and I've been doing it for so long where I just take a little bit and I just sprinkle it lightly. I also sprinkle it around the base of the plant. But if it rains, then you're going to have to reapply. But you also need to be checking and just making sure that you are looking around the plant, under the leaves, and just get into a habit, get it into a routine of doing that. So next, what I'm going to show you is a couple of more things that we're going to do to also help conserve moisture and also to protect the small plants while we're still in the 80s. So this is what I'm trying to protect the garden from. I'm not even over in the same bed, but I'm walking by because I'm going to show y'all step 3 and 4. But look at this. He has wrapped himself around the zinnia plants, okay? And slowly but surely, this is what they do. They eat holes and leaves. But look at him, y'all. Look at him. Just in welcome and wrapped himself on this zinnia like this. But this is why I put the diatomaceous earth down, and this is also why I spray with BT. And again, it's not to say that it's going to like eliminate everything, but it could definitely help. Okay, so this is what I call a fully completed bed. And although I've been working on beds, clearing out beds, and planting new things, this is complete to me. And let me share with you what we've done thus far, and then we're going to go back over all the steps, because this is basically how I do my beds when I change them out from the summer to the fall and winter, and then from the winter to the spring and summer. So although we have drip irrigation, I still went ahead and I put down some straw mulch. And I do this because it still helps with the moisture. It also helps with the weeds. But you all, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I kind of have like, the thing with the straw mulch is it's very cost effective. You get a lot and you're able to cover a lot. But some of them sometimes have these, I guess, straw or wheat, whatever type of seeds in there. And so they'll start popping up. Sometimes I get a good batch. Sometimes there's a batch that I have to wait till it gets a certain size and I have to pull them. I never know until I lay it down. And once we start watering, then that will let me know if the batch is good or if it's not. So the next thing I went ahead and done was I've put up the supports. These supports are going to serve three purposes, and I'm going to share with you what we can do just with these three supports. Okay, so again, I had to go get the clamps, y'all. These are spring clamps. We got those from Harbor Freight, and these supports are, they're called ladder mesh. They sell them at the big box stores. I remember some guy asking me, was I gonna lay brick? I don't know what they do with them. Y'all can put it in the comments if you know, but I actually use them as supports. Now, the first support that we can use it for is, remember, we're still in the 80s, 85. The lows are pretty cool. They're in the 60s, maybe 63, 65. But if the temperature starts to creep back up, then we have the shade cloth right here. So we can drape those over. I didn't put the clamps in the front because we have a trellis here, but I still can just drape it over those three, clamp it down. So this is if the temperatures start to get too hot, because a lot of times your lettuces and your leafy greens can bolt because they prefer the cooler weather. Okay, so the next thing we could do, like if the pests just start to get very disrespectful and if they start to get out of control, then we can come in and we can drape the netting over here. This is for pests. This is to keep the pests out. And this is like a mesh type netting. So we can put those over there. We're still going to have to watch our plants if we have to do this, because it could be on the inside and we can kind of just seclude it to the inside just to see, but we have to keep a watch on it. So that's the second way that these supports are going to help. So the third and final way is the frost blankets. So if it starts to get too cold, we can drape this over. This is going to protect the plants about 5 to 7 degrees right here. You can always get, I think they call it like a frost thermal blanket. They have different types of frost blankets that will protect certain temperatures, but I know this one is about 5 to 7. So if we have like a light early frost and I'm still growing lettuce, I could potentially put this on there. Now, a lot of the leafy greens like the kale and collards that we're going to grow, those can tolerate the frost just fine. But there's some plants, they prefer cooler weather, but they also don't necessarily like the frost. So if I want to protect that, I can put these on the supports, and we have frost protection. Okay, y'all, so we got to celebrate this bed because we are done. Now, we still got 7 more we have to do. We got in-ground beds that we have to pull, but it's all about starting. It's all about doing what you can at a time, and you'll see that your work and your efforts will start to be kind of like a snowball effect. You'll start to see the garden come together. I still have some pruning, some pulling that I have to do, but this just makes me happy right here that I can say this bed is fully ready. The things that we have to do is we have to make sure that we constantly get a routine, check it for pests. Y'all saw what I saw on the zinnia plants. Don't think that they can't migrate over. And then we just have to just watch it. When it gets a little bit bigger, we may have to feed it, and just be able to harvest and watch the beauty grow over the fall and the winter time. So really quick, just to recap what we've done to try to protect this and all the beds that we're going to plant for fall, especially when you're dealing with small seedlings, is we planted them, we watered everything in good. We first did BT. So we went in with the BT and just sprayed it on the leafy greens. And I also sprayed it on my plants because you can have bud worms that eat the flowers of your plant as well. Then I came back in with a little bit of diatomaceous earth. I sprinkled it on the soil. To be honest, y'all, I think I'm going to go back in just a second and I'm going to sprinkle it on top of the straw mulch. This is going to help protect them. I'm so glad that I made this video. I'm going to sprinkle them on top of the straw mulch. We already have drip irrigation that's ran. And so then we came back in and we did our protective layer. We did the straw mulch to help conserve the moisture, also to help with weeds. And then we put our supports on. We already got our clamps ready to go, so that number one, if we need to shade the plant because it's getting too hot, we can put a shade cloth on. That shade cloth is about a 50% shade cloth. Number two, if we start to get a lot of pests and we just want to try to get it up under control, we can put the mesh netting on there. And third, if it starts to get cold and we still got plants out that don't necessarily tolerate the frost, we can put a frost blanket on. So again, y'all, make sure that you hit the subscribe button because this bed looks a little small and sparse, but I want to share with you and I want to take you along with me as the beds and all of the beds and the garden continues to grow for fall. So as always, thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure you share this video with your family and your friends. And if you're not a subscriber, go ahead, tap that subscribe button. Make sure you tap the bell so that you can receive notification each and every time we upload a new video. Again, thank you all so much for watching. And until the next video, bye-bye.